Hi everyone. So today we're joined by British swimmer Rosie, who's competed in the World Championships, Commonwealth 2018, and was 200-meter backstroke champion as well. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll be answering your questions today on overtraining, pressure, and navigating bad times. So we'll get straight into it with the first question. How do you know if you're overtraining, and what steps should you take to prevent this?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things is like extreme fatigue. So if you're like really tired, but like a lot more than usual, because obviously as an athlete, you're quite tired all the time anyway.
Yeah.
But when it's like above and beyond that. So I remember there was a point in time when I used to hold like 1 minute for 100 free short course in training. And then over like a couple of weeks, I was really struggling to even go 1:15 for 100 free. So I think that was a really obvious sign that perhaps I needed to like take a step backwards and maybe like reduce the load for a week or two. And our coach would say, like, if we're overtraining or like if we're really struggling, we're probably going through what he'd call an adaptation. So what he'd often do with that is we would just have a week, and instead of going like max effort in a session that's been planned for us, we'd just go like drills and skills, or maybe like 50 below, like say 50 beats below our max heart rate. And then like I'd say like other signs that you should probably look for are maybe like mood changes. So I guess that comes along with like the tiredness and the fatigue. And also what we used to do, so as part of funding for British Swimming, we had to fill out this app called PDMS. And so every morning you log how much sleep you've had, your heart rate each day, and you'd also map like on a map of your body like each area of soreness, and that's also a way for the coaches, because they have access to that. They're able to track how you're feeling, and so I guess it's another way to, you know, look for those additional signs if you may be overtraining. And I guess like maybe if you're getting injured quite a lot, perhaps more than like too many injuries, you know, like injury after injury, and you know you might actually just need a break from the pool. But yeah, so I guess that's another thing. And then steps to prevent it. So after, say if we'd had like a big heavy competition at a weekend, we may have the Monday morning off training, or we'd just do like a really steady like low meterage session. And then other things, I guess, are making sure you're getting enough sleep, so like at least like 8 hours a night, making sure you're eating correctly, you know, not saying that's like you can't have any treats, but like make sure everything's in moderation, I guess. And I think another really important thing is making sure you keep going with your rehab or your stretching. So we used to do 30 minutes pre-pool, so like foam rolling and stretching, like just like activation work, and then 30 minutes post-pool, so like just stretching and foam rolling again. I think that's a really important way to prevent things happening. And then I guess the biggest thing is just like having communication and being really open with your coach if you're struggling, or if you personally think you're like overtraining. I guess like you yourself are like you know the most about your body and what like it shouldn't be doing. And if you do have those concerns that you're overtraining, like the most important thing you do is just speak to your coach, and I'm sure like they will have seen other athletes that have had that issue before, so they'll be really understanding. But yeah,
you said then that a lot of it for you was about kind of taking the step back and having more kind of recovery sessions and stuff. Did you find it hard to take a step back, or were you okay like lowering the meterage and stuff? Because I know a lot of athletes find it hard to have rest days and stuff because they feel guilty.
Oh yeah.
Was that a problem for you? What would you say to those who do find it a bit difficult if they are overtraining to take that step back?
Yeah, I'd say I think it can be really hard, especially when you're taught that, you know, you should be getting those like marginal gains, like you should be doing everything you possibly can. But like if you think of like someone like Ben Proud, he doesn't really do that many training sessions because he's like a 50-meter sprinter, and he does a lot more in the gym. Every person is so individual. So like I remember we went to Japan in 2014 and we trained with the Japanese national team, and they were ridiculously faster than us in training. It was crazy, and we'd do like 10k sessions twice a day. It was ridiculous. But like you'd think they were going to be so much faster than us in competition, because they were faster than us in training as well. But then when we got to World Juniors the next year, we were all beating them. So I think it's just like reminding you of these little things, and like having these little things in your brain, so you know, yeah, they might have done more training than me, but I've trained like smarter. And just like remembering that
in the process.
Yeah, so like just reminding yourself that it's okay to have a rest, and it's actually really important. And I find like if I've had a rest day or something, I can come back the next day and train harder than what I would have been able to do. So you're actually benefiting from it for sure. So yeah, I just guess like reminding yourself of these little things. And then if you personally feel like it's like bad to take a rest day, talk to your coach about it, and they'll be able to reassure you that, you know, actually it's okay. So yeah, again, just like open communication is really important.
Yeah, that's really good. Did you struggle to deal with pressure when it came to major competitions?
Yeah, I think throughout my swimming career, like I think that was the biggest thing I struggled with as a swimmer. So in 2013, it was my first international competition, and it was European Juniors, and I was like on this team with people like James Guy, and it was just crazy, like really big athletes. And I think I was like 14 at the time, and I went into the meet, and I was about ranked like first or second going into the meet for 400 IM. And I didn't even make the final, and I got disqualified on my backstroke to breaststroke turn. So it just I absolutely crumbled under the pressure at my first international. And I think like the things that like were in the back of my mind were like, we had the British swimming staff like watching us, and they were determining our funding for the year, and they were determining if we were going to qualify for World Juniors. So there was like a lot of external pressure. And like looking back on my swimming career, if there was one thing I could like change, it was like not worrying about what like British swimming, like not worrying about funding or anything like that, and just like enjoying it more, and just trying to like block out all like the periphery, and just focus on having a good time, because like it would have been so much more enjoyable if I'd just gone in there and I enjoyed it.
Doing it
but like, it was,
I guess.
Exactly, yeah. But it was like a really important experience, like having such a bad competition, because I sat down with my coach after, and first thing we did was like look at my turn. So obviously I got disqualified for it, so for 15 minutes every morning training, which was like 5 mornings a week, would do just that turn like practice and like film it and stuff, which was really good. And I never got disqualified for that again, which was nice. And then I also got in touch with a sports psychologist, and I saw them for quite a few years, and I think that really helped, because we like looked at visualizations, looked at how affirmations could help me, so like positive self-talk, and also just like goal setting, and just like being able to talk to someone was really nice as well, about like, you know, if you're struggling with the pressure. And then I went back the next year, so that was 2014 European Juniors, and then I managed to get a silver and a British record. So I think one of that, because I'd already been in that situation before, so I knew exactly what to expect, which helped a lot. And I guess if you can't do that, like maybe talk to someone that's been in that situation before, so you know what to expect going into it next time. But then even after I'd had those experiences, and like World Juniors the year after, I managed to beat the girl who had beaten me the year before, who was the Spanish girl. So I managed to win World Juniors, getting the World Junior record that year. But even after those experiences, when I was then transitioning to a senior athlete, I really struggled with the pressure with that as well. So 2017 World Championships, I was quite far off my PB, and I think again that was just the pressure of transitioning into a senior athlete and being on such like a bigger stage. I think there was like 400,000 people in the crowd at Budapest, so it was really like the noise was just ridiculous, and I was right at the end of the competition, so I had this like massive like dramatic build up going through it, which was quite hard to deal with. But again, like you pick yourself up, and then I managed to qualify for Commonwealth, which was good, which was like my last major competition. So it's just like, I think you need to go through these like big like high pressure experiences, so you can learn from them, and you know exactly what to expect moving forwards.
So you said that positive self-talk was kind of a big thing as well. So right before competition, what kind of self-talk would you use to settle your mind when you were feeling like overwhelmed with all the pressure?
Yeah, so there was quite like a few different things that I'd do. One of the things that I really liked was like quotes. So before I went out to the World Championships, my friends from the city of Sheffield, they made me like a little quote book. So one quote a day that I could like read through, which was really nice. Just like I found, yeah, I find that you can like really like I don't know, like connect with the quotes, I guess, and like you can take something from it, which I really like. It's just like having one a day. Like my coach used to put one on the whiteboard every day, which I really liked. And when I was back in Nottingham, and I always used to go up to him like, oh, what's the quote of the day? And I really liked that. So that's one thing. And then I did quite a lot of affirmations. So that's something my sports psychologist introduced me to. So one of them might be linked to one of my process goals for the year. So say if I wanting to like become like better off the turns or like have better underwater as one of my process goals, I'd link that to an affirmation. So one of my affirmations was, I'm going to explode from the block like a cannon. Like they're really cheesy, but they actually do work, and you can really like visualize yourself doing them, and you can really like see yourself doing them as well. So I'd have affirmations like that, and then I'd also do visualization as well. So it's not exactly like self-talk in a way, but you're like in your head, like thinking and feeling how you're going to feel when you get onto the block and start your race. And I think that really helps as well. And also like visualizing when it might not go right, so that you know what you're going to do if it doesn't, so you feel prepared and you feel confident going into it. And then like the last thing I'd say is I had quite a lot of like posters in my room, and like I had my goals written out on them. And then I remember when I was a little bit younger, when I was like maybe just still as a junior level, I had like pictures of like my like role models on my wall, like above my bed, so I could every night I'm like, yes, I want to be like that. It's cheesy. It's cheesy, but
good idea.
It works.
So so we've got one last question. How did you deal with the pressure of combining your studies with your swimming?
I guess I found that really tough, because I was always like, my parents always brought up the idea that education comes first and like swimming second. So I think it was really tough to deal with both of them, especially with swimming. I know a lot of the coaches, like for them swimming's everything, and like education I guess is a bit more on the side. But I think being honest with your coach and saying like education for me comes first is like the way to do it. So during my A levels, I reduced the number of sessions I was doing each week. So I was actually only doing maybe like 7 or 8 sessions a week during like my main exam time, just so I could balance it a little bit better. And then once exams were over, I'd go up to 10 sessions again, and that helped me. And I think again, just having really good time management skills. So I used to do past papers in the car on the way to training at like 5 a.m, which was a bit ridiculous. And I'd have breakfast on the way to school, because I used to go straight from swimming to school, back to swimming, and then back home. So I'd be out the house from like 5 a.m. to like 8 p.m, 9 p.m. So I'd do like homework at lunch in my lunch break, and then if we did have a competition abroad, I'd like make notes on my laptop on the like long haul flights and stuff. And I think also it's just really important that you have the ability to say no to things. So I had to say no to like international competitions in Japan and stuff with British swimming, just because I knew I wanted to focus on my studies, and it is hard to do both. It's just making sure that you can say no to things. I think just like making sure you've got good time management things is the most important thing.
Because it's definitely important to look after yourself as well, isn't it? Because I know myself, trying to do it all is just crazy sometimes. It is really hard, especially like if you have to say no to things with your friends and stuff. That can be really tricky, but I guess if you get where you want to in the end, after you've done your school and your swimming, you always have time. If you've got like the right friends, you'll have time to like meet them then. And like I always had really supportive friends, which I think is really important. So they always knew I was going to say no to things, but it wasn't a problem. Like I think that's really important, because it's all kind of temporary as well, isn't it? Like schoolwork isn't going to be forever, and you can get back into training once exams have gone down a bit again. So that's some really useful advice. Thank you.
And I think like I found it really tough, like so when I stopped swimming like at an elite level and I went into university, I found it really weird having spare time. and like having time where you can actually relax. And I thought I had to be working, like doing uni work 24/7, which is just not right. So it is hard, like when you've been like a student athlete, realizing that when you stop like at an elite level, you can actually just relax. It's really weird.
Yeah, that's true, because you're constantly on the go, aren't you? And then when you get, because it's been like that over lockdown as well, it's been stopping things, and but yeah. So thank you ever so much for answering all of our questions. It's been really great.
No problem.
And really great to have your time. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Stop recording now.